Hello, everyone. It's me, Kirsten. And this is finally your March long form podcast. I will say it's very on brand for Empress. She takes her time. Just note that. Let's note that for the record. That March energy is extremely energetic. So the Empress is abundant and there's so much of her and it's fullness. It's all the beautiful, bursting, inspiring, I'm falling in love again energy of springtime. And she's in no rush. Her faith that the flowers will return, her faith that the warm weather will return, her faith in the earth rotating, her faith in all of this snow, all of this cold snow, and what it actually builds for us and creates for us in the springtime, what it leads us into the summertime, her faith in that is unwavering. So we're kind of, stretching into that energy. Total faith, inevitability, cannot stop this train, cannot stop spring from coming of the Empress, coupled with nowhere to be, no rush, no hurry, everything in divine timing, everything working out just the way it's supposed to. So already, here we are. Already that's our March energy. That's something we're holding in our hands this March. The Empress is beautiful energy, but it's March 9th. It's my daughter's birthday. Hey, Azzy, I love you. I don't think she listens, but some of her friends do. Tell Azzy I love her, and I love you guys. Shout out to my little baby shamans, my little baby mystics. And with Empress energy, I feel no guilt about that. It's been a very rich first 9 days of March. So much has happened. I've covered a lot of ground, and I've been exactly where I need to be every step of that. You have been exactly where you need. A number of times people reach out to me and say, let's do one-on-one work, and then timing won't work or my schedule won't work and we won't see each other for a week, 2 weeks, a month, whatever it is. And then we'll meet and they'll say, it felt so urgent. It felt like I had to talk to you. We had to get clarity. We had to make sense of this. And then there was a reason why we couldn't get to each other. There was a reason why I couldn't access you or I couldn't access someone else's support or guidance because I needed to sit in it. I needed it to become what it was going to become. I needed it to percolate. I needed to trust myself. One of the key lessons of the priestess, which we just came through in February, is I don't have to look outside of myself to know that I'm okay. I don't have to get a tarot reading or check the cards or check my pendulum or ask a tree or ask a friend or read a book to know what needs to happen, to know what the next step in front of me is. And this is coming from a girl, my friends make fun of me, I love a pendulum. I will sit with my pendulum and I will be like, does he like me? Does he think I'm pretty? I will ask the most inane questions, the 14-year-old girl in me will ask the most ridiculous questions of the pendulum, and I will take it to heart. So I'm saying, please trust yourself, trust your inner authority, and also, who doesn't love a tarot card reading? Who doesn't love to read their horoscope? Who doesn't love to ask the pendulum if he thought you looked cute today? So we want to encourage the full spectrum of ourselves, the full range of who we are, and that is, the Empress is a beautiful invitation this month to expand that. But I come back to this idea of, how am I recording this so late without any guilt? And maybe I'm just talking myself out of it, but really it didn't feel ripe. It didn't feel ripe and ready. So that might be our first message for March. We talked about in February, you're going to have to hold the pose longer than you want to. There might still be energy in March of, you can feel that you're out of the pose, you can feel yourself kind of getting back up or stretching or landing back in your body or noticing what's different now that you did hold the pose. All of that can be true, and you may not be getting the results you want, or the flower might not actually be pushed through the soil yet or bloomed yet. You might not have the fruit in your hand yet, and that's okay too. So we want to just understand this right timing, understand that there's a way in which we don't want to force the tides. We don't want to force spring. We don't want to force things to be ready before their time. And that's just an important lesson. Our desire can get confused with our urgency, and they're not the same thing. Might they be related? Might there be some connection? Yes. Your desire can get so big that you want to attach it to something. You want to reel in the thing, the object of your desire. That came up in last week's podcast. Some object of desire coming onto your radar, and you can be like, oh, I see it. I want it now. And that's not desire, right? Desire is the feeling of, I want. Desire is, oh, wow, I have been in this place and I see that, and it allows me to get a little bit energetically bigger, richer, warmer. And then the kind of classic mistake that we're all making all of the time, attachment, plenty of schools of thought touch on this, is I feel the big warmth of that, the big energetic voltage of that, And I, instead of grounding that into my body and staying with that, which is deep practice and uncomfortable, fulfilling, satisfying, edge of growth for sure, but can be stressful, can be like, I don't know what to do with all this energy. You have to learn how to ground that, learn how to hold that, increase your capacity for more of your own pleasure, more of your own desire, more of life force, more vitality. And so we'll, instead of working on that, we'll reach the edge of our container and then we'll attach it. We'll, almost like a fisherman, we'll reel our desire out and try to catch something with it so that we can feel less intensely. There can be less intensity and also vulnerability and also power in that, because that desire, sitting with your desire, staying with that desire, letting yourself get very ripe and full with that desire without needing anything to change in this moment is deep practice, but it's power practice. It makes you a pretty bright being to hold desire, want, pleasure, energy more and more. It changes you, like changes your physiology, and it definitely changes the energetic impact, the energetic conversation you begin to have with the world. Okay, so all of that to say, I'm late to the podcast, and I feel like that's not only okay, but very appropriate. And it's a beautiful lesson from the Empress. You can be full and fertile and in the growth season and literally like dripping with life and in process at the same time and not rushing at the same time. We really want to ground that into our system all month long. The inevitability of what wants to be born will be born, what we are meant to blossom into, what this moment of life in the entire world, all of humanity, in your community, in your family, in yourself, what's meant to blossom, what's meant to become won't be denied. And it's not up to us to set the timeline as much as it's up to us to stay with wide eyes, stay with the wonder, stay with the desire, stay with ourselves as a channel for life force through that. That's the whole idea of no arrival. If you get to a place where you really let that go and you try to get really wide with your energy, really big with your energy, it's just a lot of fun. And it feels really good. And there's much less desire for momentum, self-propelled momentum, because it's like very matrix. You just see that things are always changing. Life is always lifing. You are becoming as is all things in the world are becoming, and that's enough. You don't need it to be more than that. It's almost the opposite. You almost want to slow it down. You almost want to slow it down and just soak up all the beauty, all the awe, all the actually miraculousness of being alive in the world. I sound like such a crazy person sometimes, but that's what I was trying to touch on that Instagram post I put up, trying to explain my teacher's thoughts on this idea of velocity. Internal velocity has that idea of velocity equals zero, is when I don't need anything to be different. I don't need to fulfill some destiny line, some story to be satisfied. I am just present with what is and ever expanding into that presence versus forcing some kind of conclusion or forcing some kind of outcome or capturing some or attaining some outside measure of success, because I realize that it's like the sweetness is the prize. The staying still in the sweetness of the moment is actually the prize that we're all seeking, whether we're conscious of that or not. Empress energy 3. 3 is the perfect number in numerology. 3 is the number of perfection. So just know that there's an opportunity this month to feel fuller, to feel more gratitude for life, to enjoy things a little bit more. And 3 is always the creating of a new thing. So the 1 and the 2, the balance point, and the 3 is this energy, this meeting, me and you, me and the world, you and your art, like 1,000 million variations of that, you in the moment, is always creating a new third thing. Like to be seen, to see automatically creates a new thing. That's the quantum theory of it all. That to be witnessed, to be perceived, changes a thing fundamentally. That's the 3 energy. So notice what you're bringing to the space. And this maybe really abstract, this idea of velocity, but I would maybe touch it back to things we've talked about, if we've talked, or things you've studied yourself about attachment or about nervous system regulation or about urgency, discomfort with quiet, discomfort with spaciousness. Those are all indications that your velocity is running faster than you want it to. And then the question is this a mass issue? So is this I'm getting stuck in some story? Or is this a velocity issue, meaning I feel like I have to create the speed, I have to create the movement. I can't trust life to do it. I can't trust the world to do it. I can't trust whatever the magic animating force of the universe is to do it. And so that's just a great thought for the month. That's interesting. I'm going to notice how velocity is living in my body. And excitement, again, we're talking about the width of it, the how much can I hold versus the momentum forward. Well, I have to do something with it now. And those are some things to keep in mind when you're noticing this month. Because this month with the Empress energy, there will just be a lot of energy. It will feel creative. Might feel impulsive. It might feel a little wild, a little reckless. And do you ever think that, like when the trees are really in bloom and spring's really coming, it's outrageous. Like spring is outrageous. That's Empress energy. But it happens in this kind of quiet, simple, inevitable way. And so the opportunity this month is just to track that with, again, awe, wonder, gratitude. Here I am, and things are shifting, and I get to be here for each step of the journey. It's really beautiful. This walk of the second wheel in shamanism is taking all of my natural propensity for joy, for gratitude, for playfulness, and turning the volume all the way up. So I might sound a little Pollyanna, a little crazy, but I'm also like happy to be here. So I hope that gets conveyed to you too. And I hope that you're able to tap into whatever those veins are in your own system. There's again a lot of reasons to be heavy, a lot of opportunity to allow our joy to be tampered, our nervous systems to be flooded, to get lost in despair, to get churned up into the news cycle. And while, of course, it's important to stay informed, you want to know what's what in the world, you also should know that every time you give that energy, you're vivifying or reinforcing that story. And so it's not that that's wrong, but there is a sense of authority and choice there that might come up this month. That might be something you want to notice this month. So the Empress energy, we love her. She's just relaxed and fertile and sexy and abundant and enjoying herself, and in the highest octane of this card, highest octane? Yeah, actually, but highest octave was what I meant of this card. This one particular tree represents the pineal gland, and so that's enlightenment. That's the idea that we can actually alter our brain chemistry with pleasure. We can alter our brain chemistry with breath, with presence, with groundingness, with expansiveness. What we choose to engage with has real impact on our physiology. Again, it's the second time I've said that, so there's a reason why that's coming up. But the Empress is the reminder of that. The Empress is the reminder that there's always more. She's the reminder that this is an abundant universe, and it is not a stupid, reactive universe. And I mean that because I think we don't give the universe, the rhythms, the cycles of life enough credit for their innate intelligence and their innate movement towards harmony and their innate movement away from stagnation and away from brittlety. There's a way in which even the brittleness is in its own transformation back into something fertile. Allowing yourself to be part of that cycle and alive for those cycles is really the gift of the Empress card. It's the energy of the divine feminine. It's the energy of Pachamama. So pleasure, play, creativity, expression, joy, love, all of that, all those good things are with us in Empress energy. So they're always with us in March. We can feel that. And we also want to remember, particularly this month, this March, the inevitability, the no need to pressure it, no need to force it. And if you feel yourself moving in that direction, regrounding into what's available now, regrounding into what's alive now, what's present with you now, what is enough right now, and even going into the longing, into the desire for things to be different as its own kind of pleasure practice, as its own exploration. And then we have with us this month, because it's the Wheel of Fortune year, the Death card. So the 1 and the 10, or sorry, the 3 and the 10 of the Empress month with the 10 year brings us 13, which is the Death card. So the two energies we're moving through this month are Empress and Death. They're not, okay, on my desk, they're doing this. And I really wasn't thinking this before I looked at the cards, sat with the cards, but just looking at them together, I really had this sense of the death almost leading her, almost clearing the path. It reminds me of what we've talked about, what Maddie said to me and some other people said to me about the wood snake, the very difficult work of 20 and 25, 20 and 25. And if you didn't realize how difficult that year was, I wonder how you feel about it now sitting in March. Like, I wonder if you look back on that year and think, that was actually harder than I thought. That required more of me than I realized at the time. That changed me in some fundamental way. And I hope there's some perspective around that, maybe some gratitude around that, and maybe some self congratulations in that. You did it. You did that. You moved through that space, that death energy, that shedding energy, that transformative energy. And this is really giving that, like the transformative wood snake moving, carving a path in the earth, clearing a path in the earth for the fire horse, the Empress, to run, to really move, to really cover great ground, to make pretty profound transitions would be a better word, transitions from one state of being, one way of being to another. And I think we all are feeling that, and whether you're feeling it personally or collectively, that there are things that want to be rebuilt, remade, recreated, and the Empress has all the energy you need for that. And when I saw them on the desk together, this really struck me as the death card being the clearing energy, the kind of like clearing of the pipes so that more can come through, so that more beauty can come through, more pleasure, more play, more creativity, more growth can come through. When I saw them on the table, that really struck me, this idea that in this month, so this is something that I can feel it as a larger system of what's happened these last 2 years, but for this month, some last transformation, some last clearing. And I almost feel it like a parade. I almost feel it like he's marching her on a float through town. That's the way it came through to me. Like he's presenting her. Death is taking pride in what is becoming, what is being reborn through the difficult journey. It's like he's like, the king is dead, long live the king, and may I introduce you to the queen. So there's something interesting about the way that he's moving, and I can feel it, the way that death is showing a kind of pride or excitement or even a magic to what gets created. And I love that. I mean, the way that feels in my body is there are things you're conscious of. So there's transitions and transformations that you're really conscious of that have been hard fought, hard won. And you can look at it and be like, this is different. So that's why I was just saying, you look back on 2025 and you're like, you know what, man, I got through that and I'm different now. And I'm proud of how I navigated that, or I learned this from navigating that. And then there's these transformations you don't see, these possibilities that have opened, these quantum lines that have become activated, destiny lines that have become activated, that you don't really see, that you can't really anticipate. If we're living in a new world, there are things that are going to happen and be seen and be shown to and be experienced that haven't been before, that aren't part of the old dynamic. And so even when you're piecing together the Lego of what might be possible next year or this coming year, you didn't even know you had this whole other palette to play with. You didn't know you had all these other blocks to play with, all these cool new techniques to play with. And so there's something about, it's kind of funny because death obviously is not a particularly funny card, but the way this is coming through is a little bit of like, ta-da. like, I don't know, like this kind of show. It's like, oh, we know that we've been in death. We know we've been in transformation, but it's like the curtains part, and death is like, and now may I present to you the Empress. There's just something about it that feels like you don't see it coming, a happy surprise, something to applaud, something, this ta-da. You thought you wanted X, but ta-da, here's a whole other stage to play on. Here's a whole other possibility for you. It's very funny and very sweet. I don't really, my brain's not making sense of it, but the invitation is very clear. So death and the Empress together really do have the sense of clearing the decks. So there's a sense of clearing the decks so that something new can grow. There's a sense of when you cut down grasses at a certain time of year so that new grass can grow. There's a sense of not quite the harvest, although that might be here. It's more like the prep work you do to give the ground its best shot at growing something beautiful. And it feels like there's an awareness this month that there's things that need to be done to make that possible. The literal going out to my garden and actually clearing the beds and getting the beds ready for the springtime, or cleaning up all the branches from the storm. There's something very real about that. Now the snow's melted. We're starting to get warm weather, and I'm saying this as like a metaphor, but you can take it literally too. But the snows melt and the days are warmer, and we can step outside and take a look around and be like, oh, what still needs to be cleaned up? What still needs to be taken care of? What still needs to be attended to so that I can give spring and my garden and the beauty to come its best possible chance? The Death and the Empress feels like, go get out your tools and clean up the old branches and clear the field so that something beautiful can grow. But when I put it down on the desk, the first thing I had was, I just feel this very big pride. Death is walking into the month very proud of not only what you've endured or what you've overcome or what you've transformed, but what it makes possible now. So there's just something really cool about death moving through the space. There's a generosity to it. Death realizes it's not the main star here. Death realizes it just created an environment, a possibility, a field in which the Empress can really shine, in which what becomes, what grows, what wants to be expressed, whole new fields are open, whole new possibilities are on the table. That's really cool energy. So for the month, so for March, going back to what we said, can you find peace with where you are and the pace of what's happening? Can you trust it? Can you trust the pace that's present in your life? And can you stay with it? And can you find a little more pleasure, energy, excitement about what you're living and then what you want to be living? And can you just hold it? And can you trust the energetics of that? Can you trust that song to be something that the universe wants to co-regulate with, wants to co-create with, and just see what happens? And that's the ta-da element. And I've said this before, when we manifest or we have this idea of what we want, there's a way in which we're limited. We can only create from the world we've existed within. And so when we move into that I don't know energy in a good way, it leaves room for more magic. It leaves room for different possibilities, different combinations of things that we couldn't have put together ourselves. So we want to leave a little bit of room this month for the ta-da factor, for magic, for whimsy, for newness. There's just something very, very surprising in a good way about the way these two cards sit together. So that's invitation again this month is, can I be so excited about all the energy? Can I fill myself with all that energy and also not be rushing it into a new form? It's tricky, but cool and interesting practice. We have the card of beauty, the card of opportunity knocking, the card of the Black Madonna, which in her words are, I turn pain and suffering into a greater capacity to love. It could not be more exactly what I'm saying. 2025 being difficult. It was asking you to expand your container. And that's been happening since the year before. It's 2024, 2025. 2024 really brought us back into our bodies. 2025 asked us to transform that container. And 2026 is willing to fill it, is going to show us new ways to fill it. And so this idea of, even though it's been hard, it's not for nothing. There's something about 2026 and something about the March energy that are going to be maybe the win that you needed, or not the prize, but the ta-da. Like you didn't even realize it could be like this. This is a whole new possibility. You really have entered a new timeline. You really have stepped into a new track. And the Black Madonna is the energy of that. And then Sister Shambhala shows the way. All of these are really talking about two things. We're talking about the journey that you've been on, that walk that you've done, the Camino that you've encountered, the pilgrimage you've had to walk. And then what comes from that? What are the rewards? What is the treasure? What is the sight? What is the new thing that emerges that makes you realize just how very worth it was? And the woodpecker here on this one card, Opportunity Knocks, I can show it to you, just feels very specific. And I've told you guys my woodpecker story. Do you want to hear my woodpecker story? Okay, I'll say it really quickly. When I was going through my breakup last spring, I was home alone in the house, and I was feeling super conflicted about whether to try to make it work more or whether to call it an end. And I was in my room. I don't know what I was doing. I was like organizing something. I was home all by myself, and I heard this huge crash. And I think the dogs might have been with me, so there's no reason for it. It was weird that this noise came. And I stepped out into my kitchen, and there I have these two big sliding doors. And in one of the screens, in the center of the screen, I should post this picture. This is the wildest picture. A woodpecker had impaled itself on my glass door, and the beak had gotten stuck in the screen. So this is kind of horrible, but it was pretty horrible. And he was just hanging there. It looked like I was in The Godfather, and the mafia was trying to send me a message. It was shocking. And what's so shocking, it's not like any bird did this, it's a woodpecker. So woodpeckers have an incredibly hard brain. Their skull is particularly hard because they're constantly hitting hard things all day. So they can't have a delicate skull. They can't have a delicate pecker. It doesn't work for them. They'd die every time they tried to peck a tree. So the fact that this woodpecker flew into this door as hard as it did, that it literally died on impact and then was hanging like a bad omen in my screen door, was among the most dramatic signals I've ever gotten from nature. And even at the time, you guys, I was like, I don't even know what this means. I can't see a parallel. Called my aunt and my cousin, and I was like, what do you think this means? And they're like, it's obvious what it means. And I was like, I don't know. I don't know that I see it, you guys. What it meant was that me, my little woodpecker, was banging my head against something, my heart probably, against something so hard over and over again. I was literally hurting myself, and I am a very loving person. I do work hard at things, but there's a point in which you're self-harming. You're doing damage to yourself. I can see that now, but at the time I was like, I don't know what this means. But I tell you all that because that story, this reminds me so much of the woodpecker. Oh, and then a week later, my plumber was here and something was wrong with our boiler. And he comes upstairs and he goes, oh, there's a woodpecker in the chimney and it got stuck in the chimney. He pulled this woodpecker out of the chimney. How did that happen? I don't know. But I had two woodpeckers like martyr themselves, kill themselves in my house to try to get me to pay attention to woodpecker energy. So just here it is, woodpecker energy. I guess what comes to mind in all of that for us as a collective is that you've probably worked harder than you realize. You've probably put yourself through more than maybe you should have. And maybe it's time for that door to swing open and you to not be banging your head, like to realize that you weren't just banging your head against something to prove a point, but that you were trying to learn something about the way you wanted to be, the way you wanted to live. And sometimes you had to do some extra reps to get there or stay a little longer, back to last month, hold the pose a little longer than maybe you should have, or maybe than you wanted to learn about the way you want to live. That feels like it's here with us. Oh my God, that was such a crazy story. I'll post that picture somewhere. And then the only last thing I'll say is the mountain. We climb the mountain, we put ourselves through the difficult things in order to arrive at a place of safety and security and peace. And I think that's something about the death card. It's not that the transformation is over per se, but there's something about this month that gives you a very clear contrast between the deep, long, slow, painful work of transformation and the way that that can so quickly pivot, that you can be in that place for a very long time and wonder, will I ever get out of it? And so quickly, it only takes a minute to change your life. Like everything can change in a minute, an interaction, an encounter, a conversation. And that feels very rich and here with us in March. Okay, so I hope that was helpful. Take the Empress card, the Death card, put them on your altar, spend some time with them, sit them next to each other. Tell me what you think they're saying, how you think they're interacting with each other. I'd love to hear all about it. But they feel like really good allies. It feels like a great buddy comedy or a great duo that you want to see succeed. It feels like an odd couple, the Empress and the Death card. You could say this from a collective standpoint, the death of the patriarchy is here, what that means for us. But there's a way in which death rides through and the king is dead, long live the king is the classic card for death. And what I keep seeing in this is the king is dead, long live the queen. So there's something here about a deeply fundamental transformation of the way that you live, the way that I live, the way that the road has changed over this time. Again, ways we know, but particularly this month, in so many ways we couldn't have anticipated or we don't even see clearly yet. So I love this duo. I love the kind of Cannonball Run energy they're giving me. Do you remember that movie? It's kind of this energy of this crazy duo gets in a car and has a great time. There's something about that. So duo energy might be here with you. You might find yourself, I have already had so many great buddy experiences this month, just seeing friends and just enjoying the company of people I love. Maybe there's some richness here for you and all of us in that. But yeah, spend some time with these cards. Let me know what comes up for you. I'd love to hear it. I'm going to pull some cards for every sign, and I will be back. And then last thing I'll say before I get into the individual signs is that the cosmic egg, the Knight of Pentacles, and Grace in full flight were all what was underneath the bottom of the deck, and the Knight of Pentacles. So there's just this sense of, small steps, big accomplishments. There's just this energy of something big is being birthed. Something new is, ta-da, being presented to you. It might be moving slower than you want it to, and that just keeps coming up. It's coming from me in my personal life, but it's also coming up for all of us. And so let it do what it needs to do. Let it marinate. Let it take its time. Let the pacing reveal things to you as much as the wanting or desire reveals things to you. Just let it be. let the arrow fly, and trust this cosmic egg. Like, trust the creation, trust the divine feminine, trust again the inevitability of the Empress, the inevitability of growth and change and pleasure and creativity and becoming, the inevitability of the earth. Just trust that. The inevitability of your own body to be changing. Okay, so let's start at the beginning, guys. Let's bring it back to the beginning. Aries energy. This is really lovely, but might require more stillness than you like. The Nine of Wands and the Lotus card, Resilience. So it's beautiful energy, Aries. And it's saying to me that Nine of Wands, as we know, is the energy of the wounded warrior. But in the Mother Peace deck, it's really a woman fully confident in her power, like sitting there with all of her battle trophies aligned behind her, being like, I can relax because I know who to F I am. And so I don't need to prove it. I don't need to be on high alert. I don't need to worry. I've lived enough life to know that as life presents itself, I am able to meet it. Full stop. Like, I will always know what to do, when to do it. It's like a supreme confidence that comes with the Nine of Wands here. And the Lotus is resilience. So the Lotus, again, same message, building something beautiful, letting something beautiful bloom from the muck and the dirt and the unwanted, the unseen, the unclear. Something really beautiful emerges. So these two combinations together just feels really confident, Aries. It feels very calm. Feels very, I trust myself. I trust who I am. I trust how I've walked so far, how I continue to walk. And I, most importantly, trust the beauty to come. I love that for you, Aries. Okay, Taurus, we have the Queen of Swords and Maiden Innocence. So listen, the Queen of Swords is not an innocent queen. She's a little bit cold, a little chilly here on her mountaintop, but she's also very wise. She has the energy of Artemis with her. There's a precision and a clarity to her that is a breath of fresh air. It's very calming to be around, because you know what needs to be said is said, and you know that silence is someplace you can be comfortable. So it's different than Aries energy, because this feels a little bit like a precision and a clarity coming into you that cools you. There's something cooling about this. And then the Maiden is the play that comes from that. So the innocence that emerges from that. So together I feel it like the Queen of Wands, maybe she's using her words. Maybe her words become very, very clear. Maybe there's a work that's happening on the mental, conscious plane that's actually talking about containership, that's creating spaciousness for play. It's like kind of a clearing out the energetic clutter, the verbal clutter, the mental clutter, to allow yourself to enjoy what is. It's not dissimilar to what I was saying about Death and the Empress, in that the Queen of Swords is clearing some pathway that hasn't been clear before, and this new vitality and play emerges from it. The Queen of Swords in this feels very much like the protector of this maiden, the protector of the innocent one, the protector of the play. I kind of like that. I'm going to sit with that one for a little while, Taurus, but that's an interesting, it feels almost like crone energy protecting maiden energy, and something about that being expansive in all ways. Taurus, Gemini, Artemis, Untamed, and the Daughter of Wands, Page of Wands. Okay, both of these cards are super untamed. Look at them. And they're untamed in different directions. Oh, Gemini. So your duality, right? There's something set free in you. And it's, again, like different than that, different than Taurus, but it's set free, both aspects of you set free at the same time. Ooh, Gemini. I'm curious what that's going to look like. But there's freedom, play, rebellion. Like, I don't give a shit, excuse my language, but that's the way it feels. Like, it's just not your focus. What people think, how it lands, whether it makes everyone comfortable, it's just not your focus this month. There's this zest. I don't even like that word. It's kind of a weird word. But there's like zest for life that comes bubbling up, and you're playing full out. You're playing full out and free, Gemini, and that feels really good. There's no part of me that wants to say pull back or you're doing too much. It feels like you've been set free, set loose. And it feels like wild horse energy, like, oh my God, it's beautiful to watch you run. Have at it, enjoy it, be free, not just for yourself, but for all the people who can't be free. Cancer, 10 of discs and grounding. Okay, 10 of discs is 10 of pentacles, so it's legacy, it's family, plenty, abundance, and the very grounding. 10 pentacles is a lot of earth energy, and the turtle is the grounding card. So this brings you back into your body, Cancer, in a really nice way. And it feels like safety for you. There's something about the water. Again, the container ship keeps coming up, which I don't know, it's not a word I use that often anymore, but that keeps coming up. It feels like a beautiful clay bowl or a beautiful clay basin that you get to rest in this month. So I would really prioritize rest, prioritize the things that bring you into your body. And in any way you can relax into the fact that there's plenty, feels like you're gonna be invited to do so. And then you can trust that. So if you get invited to a space of plenty, you can really enjoy that, whatever that means to you. If it's a relational thing or a work thing or an art thing, it might be like, wow, this is really not too good to be true, but this is nice. This is a lot. This is luxurious. And you're invited to trust that, enjoy that, sink into it this month. Leo, Hathor celebration on the star. I don't know if this is right, Leo, but I have some idea in my head that the last few months have been hard for you. And I mean that probably in your life, but I'm talking about the cards that I've pulled. This feels like a real invitation to rest and renew, and through celebration, but through like celebration of self. I kind of have this feeling that there's something you're marking. There's some milestone or growth pinnacle or some win that's very private. There's a win you have that probably no one else sees. And not that you don't need it to be seen, but you're like self-validating. You're validating it from the inside out. And so you don't really need other people to validate it. And it's kind of this internal celebration, this internal congratulations on whatever you've achieved. And it's something, again, you can explain to people, but it's really hard to maybe put into words or for people to really understand what you mean. But there's something about it that you know what you did. You know what you overcame. You know what you accomplished. And this month you have a lot of energy around you and permission and encouragement and desire to celebrate that and to renew yourself through that. Really take good care of yourself this month, Leo. There's something here that feels what I was saying earlier. It's been hard. But then it comes up and you see it from different angles and you're like, that's harder than I thought. That was more than I thought it was going to be. And this month you see that clearly enough, and the Empress and the Star are just like wrapping their arms around you and just holding you for as long as you need to be held to really rest for a minute, like recover for a minute and celebrate whatever this thing is that you've accomplished. It does deserve to be celebrated. And whether you do that with people outside of you or just do it for yourself, it should be marked. You should do some kind of ceremony or ritual around it to reflect to yourself what a big deal this is. Virgo, Moon Rhythm and Chariot. Okay, this Chariot's fast-moving energy, Moon Rhythm. The first thing that comes through is like stops and starts all month. So this might be a month where there's a push-pull or like a go, break, accelerate, break. And it might give you a little whiplash, but it's also it's almost like just know that there's not an even pacing to the month. The month feels like, oh, big movement, big freeze, big movement, big freeze. And that's not wrong. And you're not going to get stuck in freeze. So there's more momentum than you realize, just moving in this kind of jagged way or unreliable way or stop-start way. And I feel like you just need to hear that and know that and move accordingly. Like it's asking for maybe a little more nimbleness. There is something about the jolt of the stop and the jolt of the start that doesn't feel very comfortable. And so whatever you can do to smooth those tracks or smooth the edges out around that, maybe that's something you want to investigate or think about. But mostly it just feels like a lot of energy, moving really fast, stopping short, pause, freeze, why aren't I still going? And then all of a sudden you're jolting forward again. It feels like you're on some kind of train or bus that you don't have control over, but it's moving in this kind of funny way. And so what do you need to do for yourself to set like a space for yourself so you can like relax into the ride, even though maybe it's not the ride you'd prefer. It is going to help you arrive at a destination, just not the way you would want it to, not maybe the way you would drive the car. Libra, Kali Ma, fierce love and world. Libra, this is like a decisive ending. It doesn't feel bad, but it feels like for the sake of love, thou shalt not pass. Like for the sake of love, this ends now. There's something very fierce love, but it's also an end, a line in the sand, no more of this. And it feels like it's internally generated. So it could be that someone says that to you or something says that to you or the world says that to you, but it feels more like this thing that comes up from you that's like, halt, stop, no more. It feels like a very clear line for you. It's a very clear message. And permission, maybe this is what you need, permission to draw that line and be like, nope, no more. And I see this line and I don't want to cross it and I don't want to rehash it and I don't want to discuss it. My no is my no, my line is my line. Permission to own that this month. Scorpio, Queen Sovereignty and the Nine of Swords. Okay, so Nine of Swords, we don't love it. It's the Dark Night of the Soul card, but we do like the Queen Sovereignty card with it. And it says to me, there's going to be some awareness. Again, this keeps coming up of how hard it's been and an awareness of how stuck you've been, how addictive something has become, how you've wounded yourself in some mental way, some trap, some prison. And the Queen of Sovereignty is lifting herself out of that. It's so different from what I just said about Libra, but it's also not that different. There's this like line that gets drawn. And I don't do that anymore. And that came up on one of the recent podcasts, the devil. I think it was actually the last week in February. The devil shaking off the chains. Oh no, sorry, I don't live that way anymore. I don't agree to that bind anymore. I don't agree to that agreement anymore. Those are not rules I play by anymore. Addiction, this can be a waking up and being like, you know what? Enough of my time has been there. Enough of my time has been with this kind of self-inflicted prison or wound. And not self-inflicted like it's your fault, but self-inflicted, you kept agreeing to it on some level. You kept contributing to it on some level. And the Queen of Sovereignty, the way it feels is the picture in my mind is like this little prison and this beautiful flower queen emerging from it and literally just stepping out of the box and being, and seen. I'm done here. So this is powerful, Scorpio, and a very different style of transformation than you've gone previously. And I would just say to you, trust this sight and this choice and the gentleness of it. That's like kind of the key thing. There's not a lot of fretting around this, even though it might be a prison that you've fretted around for a long time or a pain that you've fretted around for a long time. It's that double thing of that your emergence from this, your transition out of this can be much more gentle than you realize and much simpler. It's like you do it once and it's done. Sagittarius, weaving and justice. Sagittarius, this feels like you merging with someone or something. It feels like you making a choice to weave your energy with someone else's for the greater good. It feels like a rightening, a balancing of energy. And it feels like such an intentional choice. Like it feels like such a deliberate, intentional choice to weave yourself together with someone. And that could, again, be romantically, relationally. It could be a new home, a new place, but there's something that you come to and you face and you say, I choose to merge my energy with you. I choose to weave my power. And I keep seeing like all these colored lights, colored like threads. It's on the cards, partially why I see it too, but like it's very strong. I weave my energy with yours, and I'm fed by that. And together we create something bigger than we could have created for ourselves. And something very strong gets built. It's almost like you have this light energy that you're weaving, and it becomes these steel ropes or steel cable, and not in a heavy way, but in a binding way. My Sagittarius Venus is like, what? But it feels like we choose to merge them together, and we do it with very clarity and intention, and then it creates something much stronger and much more load-bearing. So these are weird words, but this is what's coming through. Load-bearing than we could have created by ourselves, and then we maybe even we're attempting to create. Something very foundational and strong gets created by, and it's again, almost like Scorpio feels very quiet. It feels like you just turn to something and you're like, I choose to merge here. Again, simple, natural, immediate, and clear. Oh, this. And you just move towards it. Okay, Sag, I'm excited to see what that's like. Capricorn, Lioness, Courage, and Priestess of Discs. What I hear right away is be brave, Capricorn. This feels like an encounter with your body like trying to create something or metabolize something or own or hold something. And you have plenty of strength to do it, plenty of possibility to it, but there's a little bit of a faith gap. Like, I know this. There's some clarity running through these cards that are really interesting, but there's just like this, I know this is for me, and I can't quite articulate it or demonstrate it or something. And so there's this faith gap where you have to just hold the course, hold steady, see clearly, and keep moving in that direction. And I feel like you're going to be not even rewarded, but the faith gap will close. And oh no, now I'm just here. I thought I could live this way. And then I kept moving in that direction, a little bit of a delusional way, but I kind of like it. A delusional way. I mean, Kirsten kind of likes it for you. A little bit of a delusional way. And then all of a sudden I'm like, and now I'm living the life I said I was going to live the whole time. There's something cool about that, Capricorn. But there's going to be a requirement where you act as if for a little while longer than maybe you'd want to. Aquarius, beautiful. You have Empress and Gentleness, dear. So Aquarius, so much permission to let things emerge peacefully, gently, shift on their own. You are rich with the energy I was talking about at the beginning of the podcast of the inevitability of the Empress energy, trusting that, letting that reveal itself. And your only job is to allow it. So you want to notice resistance, notice those velocity things we were talking about before. But something quite magical emerges from your relaxation, Aquarius. And then Pisces, we have the Three of Wands and Brigid, Hearth. Oh, I love this together. So Three of Wands is traditionally the card of trusting your instinct, and Hearth, a next level trusting of your inner fire, Pisces. And you're a watery sign. You're not always known for movement or passion or fight. And there's something here that's like something settles in you, some heat settles in you, some kind of warm fire of confidence settles in you, and it helps you really trust what's next for you, trust your next steps. This feels like, I'm just going to again say, I'm not sure exactly how this is going to apply to you, but what it feels like is similar to Scorpio stepping out and Sagittarius being like, oh no, this feels like you end up somewhere you don't expect to be. That could be metaphorically or actually or physically. And you're standing there and you're like, oh, resonance or connection or me or yes. So there's this energy of almost landing somewhere and knowing it fits. You couldn't see it coming. You didn't anticipate it. And it feels a little bit out of your wheelhouse. So you're standing somewhere and you're like, wait a second. I like it here. I feel powerful here. I feel strong here. I know that I'm supposed to be here. It's really cool energy, Pisces. Okay. And then we have Rebel, Revolutionary, and the Priestess of Swords. So again, be brave this month. Say the thing. Be willing to be a little reckless. Fight for what you believe in and allow yourself to experiment and trust the inevitability of what's coming. Trust your messy movements as right on time, as part of the harmony of what the world's trying to create. And Empress and the Devil, I would take those 2 cards out of your decks if you have them. Check them out, look at them, see what comes through. They seem like a funny duo, and they feel like they have a little message for each of you. They have something specific they want to tell you, and I feel it would be fun to listen. Okay, that's your March forecast. Signing off. Love you guys so much. And listen, dude, happy motherfucking springtime. Bye.